Today we're doing a 6-month boob job update and I'm so excited. So there have been a lot of questions coming in through my Facebook and also through friends who are considering to do a boob job. Not a boob job update, but they're considering to do a boob job. And then there have been also my amazing surgeon. He reposted my post when I was actually authentically, publicly going out and told the world that I did a boob job. So he reposted that, and from that a lot of amazing women reached out to me and wanted to ask specific questions. I will bring all those questions up today. I have them here in my laptop. I think there are actually 30 different questions, and some of the questions that I have here, none of you actually did ask, but those were questions that I had before my own surgery. So I will include them so that you can get the most out of this video if you are considering to do a boob job, a breast surgery, a breast augmentation, to really help you grow into your femininity on your own journey. So this is the video for you. So stay tuned to all 30 because we don't know which one will actually hit you the most and resonate and really truly help you on your journey. Hey, this is Linda from the future. Just wanted to let you know that in the description box below there are timestamps. So if there is a specific question that you're interested in, you can just pick one and it will jump to that question in the video so that you don't have to watch the full video if you're not interested in all of the questions. Now back to the video.
Every single day, I'm gonna make something great.
Question 1, how long was the recovery? And I think this depends a little bit how we are describing the length of the recovery. I would say the 2 first weeks were the weeks where I was being quite still. I needed that time to really rest and really let my body adjust in all of this. But even until now, 6 months in, I would say that I still have a little bit, if you would really squeeze my boobs, or if I'm really touching the areola part, I do feel a little bit of pain there still after 6 months. And I think I did not really expect this, but also my surgery was different because I did also have an areola surgery because I had a puffy nipples that many times goes very much together with the tubular breast. So I did have the tubular breast condition, which is your breast is formed like a cone, so they are very misshaped. So I think that my recovery may have been a little bit longer than for other people. That's my guess. But I would assume that we are really talking about when could I go back to working out like that. And I did start to go back to the gym, I think, after a month. Then I started to go back, or was it? No, it was actually 6 weeks. So after 6 weeks, I did go back and do just leg training, and that went perfectly well. And after about 3 months, I started to do a little bit of chest and upper body workouts. So I was all the time in contact with my surgeon because I really wanted to make sure that I did everything right. Question number 2, how was the recovery? From a scale from 0 is nothing and 10 is maximum pain, I would say I was in about 4. So it wasn't, I didn't know what to expect, and people are describing this differently, and I had no idea what to expect, and I was really afraid of being in a lot of excruciating pain. It was not like that. It was painful to move around or laugh. I remember the first night at home, I started to laugh at something, and when I started to laugh, it was really painful in my muscles, and it was so painful when I laughed, so that I started to cry, and then I started to laugh again. So it was this I don't know what to call it, almost like a tantrum where I could not stop laughing and I could not stop crying because the pain of laughing was so hard. That was probably the most painful thing. And also going to sleep in the nights when so my boyfriend, he really kind of worked as an elevator for my back to help me to go down. That was kind of the most painful. If I tensed my body, if somebody is going to help you to go down and lay down on your back, you kind of tend to per instinct actually tense your body. But that was the worst thing that I could do. The more I tensed, the worse the pain got. So if I relaxed, then it was much easier. But I would say from a scale 0 to 10, it was probably around a 4. It never went worse than that. What I know now about the pain and the recovery process, if I would go back in time, would I have done the process again? Would I have done my surgery? Yes, for sure. And I thought about that so many times throughout my whole recovery process. I was like, I would definitely go back in time and redo it. So there was never a point where I was like, oh, I wish I did not do this. So I hope that that can give you comfort in preparing yourself for this actually amazing journey, because the result, I think that it's so amazing. The result really transform and change your life and how you feel about yourself. Just now feeling so amazingly good, like filming this video, and I was like, oh, what can I wear? I want to wear something that can really show off my boobs. And that was never the case before. I used to hide. Before every summer, I really had to figure out a way to hide my boobs, and I was always wearing a bra to cover up, not the size, but to cover up the shape of my boobs. And now, like, being able to just walk around, I never use a bra. The only time I use a bra, if I have like a top that is kind of see-through or something, where you kind of tend to see through it, then I would wear a bra underneath. Or if I were to go to a physical therapist for my back or so, and he may ask me to take my top off, then I have a bra underneath. But that's the only time I actually use a bra. I walk around without bra all the time. But I guess also that comes up to how big of boobs, what size have you actually chosen? Because yeah, we will go into that as well. But I have friends who have massive boobs. They really wanted to have those like really dolly parton boobs, and they kind of have to wear their sports bra all the time, because otherwise gravity is going to push their boobs down. But for me, I can just show you to just like be able to walk around like this and feeling amazing. This is feels really weird to do this on camera, but it really feels like this. I just love walking around and just being so proud of my body shape, and absolutely love what I see in the mirror. Next question. How are the scars? I did not know in the beginning that I was supposed to apply the scar cream twice a day. So I didn't do that. I applied it once a day, and the scars were still quite red after like 3 months when I had my update consultation with my surgeon. And then I asked him, because he asked me about the scars, and I showed him. I had a video consultation with him because he is in a different country. So I showed him the scars, and he said like, yeah, it will be better. And then I asked him like, okay, so how many times a day should I actually be putting on the scar cream? And then he said 2 times a day. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't do that from the first beginning. I am very particular with what I do, and I always want to prepare, but this was something that I had actually missed. I didn't know this. So this is a good thing for you to know. Apply from when you start to apply the scar cream, which is basically when the wounds have healed properly. Ask your surgeon, obviously. Don't take anything I say like and just go and apply it. All the time, ask your surgeon. So don't keep me responsible. You are fully responsible for your own journey. I'm just sharing my experience. Disclaimer, super important. But I started to apply this scar cream 2 times a day, and very soon after that I actually started to see results. So I think I will insert somewhere here also maybe a picture or a little bit of a moving video so that you can actually see the scars. But I mean, for myself, I never see the scars because I'm always looking at my boobs from the top, and most of the times I'm wearing clothes. But also, well, when I am naked and I look at myself in the mirror, because my boobs are not particularly big and massive, I can actually see the scars. Like when I look into the mirror, I do see the scars. But they are so much better now when I started to apply the scar cream twice a day. And I think that was really the secret that I had missed in the beginning. So maybe you can take that as an advice to be sure to apply the scar cream properly. Moving on. Did you have to be still or move around after the surgery? I think that this is different between different clinics, because I had heard so many women say that they had to be in bed and be totally still for a week or so. And then I started to listen to people in America who were talking about the 24-hour recovery surgery. And I was like, what is that? How can it be so different? between some people having to lay in bed for a week and they're not allowed to move, and then other people are supposed to like move their arms up after just a few hours after the surgery, and they're supposed to go out to dinner. So I started to research that a bit more, and then I, from my understanding, I'm not saying that this is a fact, but from my understanding, these surgeons who are promoting the 24-hour recovery technique, they are using a specific technique when they do the surgery. So they're really sealing your blood vessels, compared to, if I understand it right, the older version of how you would do a surgery. You just go in kind of with a knife or a tool, and you're like just cutting everything open, and that can cause bleeding and stuff. But when you are sealing the blood vessels, you are making sure that the bleeding is not going to happen, or at least that you minimize, not fact, but this is my understanding again. So you're making sure that you're minimizing the chances or risk of bleeding. So when I was really like, okay, I have to go to the US and do my surgery if everybody else is doing this old like horrible technique and just cutting you open. So I was really, really afraid of the old compared to the new 24-hour recovery. And then I came to a clinic here in Sweden, and I spoke with that guy, and I asked him about this new techniques versus the old techniques, and he was like, well, in Sweden at least, we have been using these new techniques for years. Like, this is the only thing that we use. So that made me feel more safe, and I realized, okay, the new technique is definitely what I want. I absolutely did not want the old techniques. So this was something I really investigated, because I wanted to make sure that I had the best techniques. So with the new technique, from my understanding, is that you have to move around afterwards. That's what the doctors and the clinic told me, to really move around afterwards, to make sure that you go for a small walk, even day 2. So day 2 after the surgery, you go for a little walk in the neighborhood, just to make sure that your blood is not clogging. So you kind of have to move. So I didn't sleep so much during my recovery. I woke up, my boyfriend, he had his alarm on to make sure that I got up in time, and I took the medications, and then I sat up and I moved a little bit, and I went to the kitchen. And all the moving parts were like, when I went for a walk and stuff, that was pretty hard. Like, going back to the recovery, as I said, like, that was one party, because it was very hard to expand the lungs. Like, you're realizing after a surgery how much you're actually using your core area all the time. So every time I breathed, that was kind of painful. So if I just sat in the sofa and I just took super small breaths, that didn't hurt. But as soon as I started to move around, that was more painful. So, but they did recommend me to move around as much as possible, and they said that will also speed up the recovery process. But I do believe that this is different from what kind of surgery or technique that the surgeon is actually using. So I would make sure to really check that before, because I did not really resonate with like cutting my whole body, not whole body, but cutting this area wide open and just having to be super still in bed to avoid the risk of bleeding. So I really wanted to have the new technique. Moving on to the next question. Did you go home the same day? No, I did not go home the same day. In the hospital or the clinic where I was at, they offer you to stay, or that's included in the service. So it's a little bit more higher price service. But for me, I was all the time telling myself, if I'm gonna do this surgery, I want to make sure that I have the best hospital, and I want to make sure that I have the best surgeon. Or I didn't say the best hospital, but I assumed that the best surgeon would work in the best hospital. So that was something that I was really like, I was super focused on having the best, because since my boobs had been such an issue my whole life, I really wanted to make sure that this was a life-changing thing in a positive way. So I was really particular with this thing. So they offer you to stay there one night. They take care of you. They give you food, and they check on you, your temperature, and they check that no bleeding is going on and everything. So I felt really safe. So I stayed there one night. My boyfriend could come and visit me straight after the surgery. and he was there with me for a couple of hours, and then the visiting time was over, so then I stayed the night, and then the morning after a surgeon came in and checked on me, and then I was allowed to go home. So in my experience, this was super good, because I remember laying there the first day after the surgery, and I was like, I can't understand how people can actually go home day one. So I think, going back also to the recovery process, I think that I was in quite a lot of pain, but it just felt so good to, like, it was hard to move around. Basically, when I was just lying there the first day, it wasn't so painful, but when I wanted to go to the toilet or move a little bit, that was really hard. That was really uncomfortable and super hard to do, and you are not supposed to lift your arms up at all. So your arms are supposed to be very still, at least not like going over your shoulder area. So I was so happy and grateful that this service was provided, that I was able to stay for one night. Super grateful. I do not understand how people can manage to actually go home. You're not feeling good that first day. So if the hospital where you are gonna do or considering to do your surgery, if they offer to stay one night, from my experience, I would definitely go for that. What size of implants do you have? So I had to actually, I did not put so much emphasis, because my surgeon and we discussed this together, and so I didn't really put so much emphasis in what I actually chose. I just wanted to make sure that it looked the way I wanted it to look, and I had heard so many different surgeons explain that on my left I have 245 cc, and on my right, which was the smaller boob from the beginning, is 290. And I have motiva implants, and I have motiva minis. I definitely thought that I would go for the demi, so they have different projections. Basically, it's like how much is going to point out from your body. And for me, my personal preference is that I prefer that they look more flat. I really did not want my boobs to project a lot. For me, I don't think that looks good, and that's nothing what I wanted, but it's just personal preference. So I was very particular in telling my surgeon that I definitely don't want them to go out a lot. So first we tested out the demi, and then when I had them, like I put on a sports bra and put the implant in, but I was like, I'm not really sure. I think they may go out a little bit too much. They may project a little bit too much for what my wants, for my liking. So then we tested the mini, and I was like, I think this is much better. And my surgeon texted me afterwards also. He was like, I think that we did such a good decision when we decided to go for the mini in your case. So I'm super pleased and happy with that. And the surgeon I had in Sweden that I went to, and I was actually gonna go with that surgeon first, but then I ended up not going with him. But he said to me he was gonna use a different kind of implant. He was gonna use a different kind of brand that was more textured. And I did not want that, because I'd heard that may lead to cancer. So I had a lot of questions about that, and I did not really feel safe with that. And also those implants, they came with the same, like you had to have the same size on both breasts. And I was really hesitant about that. And he was like, well, it's not gonna show so much of a difference anyway, because you have just a little bit of a difference. But then when the surgeon that I did go to, he was like, no, definitely we should have different size of implants, because your boobs are different sizes. So I'm super happy. When I look at them in the mirror now, they look super even. I love them so much. So that was about the sizing, and I would definitely recommend that maybe that was a question, like how to know what size to choose. I would definitely look at some pictures of other women who have kind of the same body, or maybe not even the same. Like for me, I was very particular. I did not want the boobs to just be, super tight and you just see like a score. So they're like pushed together like that, and they're more like hanging. I was terrified of that result. So my surgeon explained, like, what we want is to have like one finger between your boobs. That's what we really want to have, and that's exactly what he created. That gives you that more rounded, amazing, wonderful look that I really wanted to go for. So bringing photos and just having a really good conversation with your surgeon and explaining and showing explaining to him exactly what you want. So that's really about the projection, and then he or she will help you. If they are not helping you with this, then probably go to another surgeon, because this is so important. Like my surgeon, he was going into the smallest little details, like millimeters. I don't know what this is in the US, but like a millimeters. And he was so detailed, and he was like, I think we may go up 1 cc, or he really wanted to make this perfect for me. So I felt so safe that he understood what I really wanted. I did not want to end up with boobs like this. I wanted them to be quite, not flat, but really suit my body. That was my main goal. So just bring in photos, explain to your surgeon what you want, and go for the kind of implants that you feel really comfortable. And I'm so happy that I did not go for those implants that the first surgeon recommended me here in Sweden, because I didn't feel that felt right for me. Something within me like, no, don't go for that. And I think it's so important to listen to that little voice. Always listen. My whole YouTube channel is about listening to your inner knowing, because your inner knowing is always going to guide you to the right thing. So I think that is super important also to use this inner knowing method when you are standing there looking in the mirror in the surgeon's office, to really make sure that you are choosing the right implant. And I emailed the clinic afterwards, and I was like, did we now? I just wanted to confirm that we did choose the motiva mini implants. And she was like, yes, that's what you agreed with. And I was like, okay, good, then we know that we're all set. Moving on to the next question. What surgeon did you go to? I went to Dr. Pot, Wouter Pot, in Holland, in the Netherlands, and I could not be more happy. I have made another video explaining how I manifested him into my reality after I had done years of search. So if you want to watch that other video, I will also put it here in the not the comments below, but in the description box, so that you can watch that. So it's a little bit of more how I found him and stuff like that. But he is basically specialized in the tubular breast condition. He does all the other breast surgeries as well, but he has a waiting list of 1.5 years. So he is really busy with his work. And if you look at his Instagram, you can probably see why he is so busy, because the results are absolutely incredible. So I'm so happy that I did find him. It was actually a friend of mine who recommended him to me when she understood, or when I understood that I had a tubular breast, and I explained that to her, and she was like, I know the guy for you. And she sure did, because the results are amazing. So the next question is, did I feel safe? Yes, I did feel safe. I had 3 criteria. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to believe that I was going to be physically safe. So there were 2 different things, like really the feeling and then the physical safety. And then the third thing was that I wanted to be really sure that I was going to have amazing results. And going into the surgery, after I have had my consultation with Dr. Pot and I have texted with him, I felt completely safe. And all this time, when searching for a clinic, when searching for a surgeon, I have been talking to my subconscious mind and to the universe, and really asked them to guide me to the right person for me, because I said I truly want to feel and be safe, and I want to have amazing results. So going into the surgery, yes, I did feel completely safe. What did you do to stay calm before your surgery? I did quite many things. So as you may know, I work as a clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm the founder of Fertility Alignment. So basically what I do is that I'm specialized in working with my own subconscious mind and with other people's subconscious mind. So I did a lot of subconscious reprogramming to help myself to stay really calm. And if you are feeling that you are really freaked out by this whole idea, feel free to reach out to me on a free consultation call, and we can discuss, is there any of my sessions or any of my programs that could actually help you to feel safe on your own journey. Because feeling safe going into surgery and just knowing that you have made the right decision, I believe, is one of the most important things that you can ever experience during this whole journey of upgrading your boobs. because this is such a big part of your whole body. So I did that. I worked with my subconscious mind, and then I called the clinic. So first, as I said, I was going to have the surgery here in Sweden, so I made sure I called that clinic. I had to book time and everything. So I called that clinic and I said, I'm really, really afraid of the implants that he recommended for me. So I had them go through like what is the pros and cons of this kind of implants and stuff like that. And then I said to them, like, I was really, really afraid of anesthesia, going into anesthesia. Is it called anesthesia? An anesthetic, basically. Anesthesia, that's the name, but I don't know. I can't remember. That's a woman's name, Anastasia. Well, when you go under, like when they're putting you to sleep, I was really, really, really terrified of that. And I had been terrified of that since I was a kid myself. That was one of my worst like nightmares, to ever have to go into a surgery and being put to sleep. So I said that to the woman in the reception, and she said, well, we can have our anesthesiologist to call you and he can answer all your questions. So he did, and I had a list of like 10 or 15 questions for him, and he took the time, he answered all my questions. So that made me feel really, really safe. And I would really recommend you to remember that you are the client, you are paying them, and you need to make sure that you feel safe, and it's their job to make sure that you are feeling safe. If they are not there to answer your questions, if they are not there to help you out before the surgery, then maybe that clinic is not for you. Because if they're not there for you before the surgery, what will happen after the surgery if you actually need any help or you have questions? No, you want to make sure, at least in my perspective or opinion, you want to make sure that you feel completely safe before. So make sure to call them and help them to help you by tell them all the questions that you have. And what I also did in the morning of the surgery was, when I had my coffee, because I was allowed to drink coffee and water and clear apple juice until 5 a.m. So I think my surgery was at 9 a.m. and I was allowed to drink something until 5 a.m. So I was really particular with that. I made sure I got up at 4 a.m. I had my alarm set at 4, and then I woke up and I had my coffee and all of this, and I did all my preparations. And then I sat down and I journaled. I journal a lot. That's an important part of my life. I do journal, and I set my intention, and I really talked to my guides, and I said, like, my intention today is to meet the most amazing people at the clinic. My intention is to feel safe. My intention is to have a good time, and really that everything is going smooth and that the process will be fast. So I really wrote down everything I wanted to have happen and everything that I wanted to feel throughout that day, and that really helped me. Like, going into the surgery, I even have a photo here of me and Jonas, my boyfriend, going into the surgery, and I think I also have a little bit of a little video where I'm dressed in that surgery gown, and I felt safe. Like, of course I had a little bit of heart pumping, a little bit of nervousness, but it was nothing. I was afraid before that I was going to be super nervous, but that didn't happen. I had done so much mental and physical preparations before, so I did feel very safe going in. So really, those things, making sure that you call them before, getting all your questions answered. And also, we went to the hospital the night before. So the evening before the surgery, we went there because this was in not my own country. So we went there the night before, and I met a lovely lady in the receptionist, and she said, well, I'm a nurse and I will be here tomorrow morning when you arrive. So I had already seen a face of somebody who were actually going to be there for me and welcome me when I arrived. So all those different things that I did to prepare myself, they helped me massively. And that writing part, I would highly encourage you to sit down and write your intentions in the morning, so that your mind, your subconscious, and your whole body is really prepared as you are going into your surgery. Moving on to the next question. How did you know that you were ready to take this step to actually do this surgery? Good question. When I figured out about this 24-hour recovery technique, I did email a clinic in the US who did perform this kind of surgery. And I said to them, are you able to deal with super nervous people? Because I'm totally afraid and I truly want to have this surgery done, but I'm not sure if I will be able to actually mentally cope with it. And then she replied to me. So she said that our recommendation is that you feel 50-50. You feel 50% excited and you feel 50% nervous. We don't want you to be more than 50% nervous. Basically, at least 50% excited, preferably more, but at least that. So that was something for me to kind of keep in mind as I wanted to know if I was ready or not. I was like, do I feel 90% nervous and 10% excited, or where am I on this scale? So that helped me a lot to know that, okay, if I at least feel 50% excited, then I am good to go. That was like a milestone for me. But then also, as soon as I felt like really, really, really ready, that's exactly when my surgeon showed up as well. In my other video, I explained that I'd been looking for a surgeon here in Sweden, and the clinic that I had booked myself in for, I did not feel 100% resonate with them. It was something a little bit off, but I had come so far on my journey, on my process, and I really wanted to do this, and I did not want to wait and just keep looking for another surgeon. But as soon as I did my final touches on my subconscious mind, and I was really in alignment with my surgery flow, then the surgeon appeared, and even though the waiting list were supposed to be 1.5 years, but my surgery was done within 3 weeks after I found him, or 4 weeks after I found him. So that is pretty amazing. When we align, things can move really, really, really fast, as I was explaining in the other video. How did you get home from the clinic? So Jonas came and picked me up. We rented a rental car. He rented that from the airport when he arrived, because I arrived 1 week before the surgery, and I stayed with my friend who actually lives in Amsterdam. So I stayed with her, and she took me to the first physical consultation with Dr. Pot. I had done a video consultation before, and we had discussed everything, but now he was gonna measure everything. So that he wanted me to do 7 days before the surgery, so that he could order the right size for my implants. So Jonas had rented a car, and he drove me home in the car, because you're not supposed to drive. Like, I'm not sure what day they tell you that you actually can drive because of the medications, but I was not in a physical place where I could drive. It took me about 2 weeks until I was actually able to fully feel comfortable driving again. So the next question is, how was it to do the surgery in another country? There were both pros and cons to that. There were only one woman, a nurse, who came in to me, and she was gonna ask what I wanted to have for breakfast, I think, in the morning after the surgery. And I said to her, do you speak English? Because apparently she didn't know, because there were different nurses coming in taking care of us all the time. And she didn't know that I only spoke English. So she started to speak with me in Dutch, and I was like, do you speak English? And she was like, no. So that was a bit weird, but I was super, super lucky, because the woman who also was a patient, she was in the same room as me, she spoke English, so she could translate. But that was kind of the only thing that was a bit weird of doing it in another country, that woman did not speak English. But all the other people, they spoke perfect English, so no problem with that at all. And I would say that one thing that I think is so positive that I did it in another country, and that we had a car, was that it kind of distracted me. If I would have just been here at home in my own apartment, like a week of recovery after the surgery, that would have been really, really boring and not so nice, because we don't have an elevator here, and we live on the 2nd floor in our apartment building. So I would have to walk up and down the stairs just to go out and do that walk that I was talking about before. And walking up and down in stairs is nothing that you really want to do when you just have had a surgery, at least not for me. So we had rented an Airbnb, and I was so happy with that Airbnb. It was absolutely gorgeous. If you were going to go to Pot or to Blooming Clinic overall, and you are not from Holland and you want a tip on an Airbnb, just let me know and I can send that to you, because I love that. It was like a beach bungalow. It wasn't really by the beach, but it was very close to a little beautiful lake. Super, super cozy place. And this little bungalow, it had a fireplace and a garden, and it was just amazing. I loved having my recovery there, so it was absolutely perfect. And then in the daytime, Jonas drove us around in the countryside, and we were looking at all the tulip fields, and it was just incredible. So the days went by really, really fast during my recovery. So it was like actually a mixed combination between a holiday and recovery, and having my femininity upgraded. So that was absolutely incredible, and something I I'm really, really happy for that I did. Without the car, we would not have been able to manage this. And if it wasn't for Jonas, this would not have happened because obviously I couldn't drive. So it was really thanks to having a partner with me. And he had to drive really, really careful because every time it came a bump, that really hurt. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna die, but it was quite painful actually. When could you fly home? So the recommendation was to stay for 2 weeks and then have my follow-up consultation where my surgeon could check on me and then fly home. So that is what I had actually booked, but because I went there for kind of Easter, after 2 weeks, my surgeon was on holiday, so they said to me like, well, you can come in after 3 weeks to do your follow-up. And I was like, I'm back in Sweden after 3 weeks. So they had to reschedule their whole schedule for me. So I'm super, super happy for that. So I had my follow-up consultation after only 1 week. And then I asked my surgeon, I was like, can I go home that same day, or what do you think, shall I stay another week just for safety? And he was like, no, there is no reason for you to stay, you can just fly home the same day. So I'm super, super happy I could do that. Looking back, I would say like flying home after 1 week, I was not particularly fresh. You know, I felt it was quite hard to walk those distances in the airport, and my head was still very, very tired. I did not mention that before, but one thing for the recovery was I felt really, really tired, and sounds were really annoying to me. I am a highly sensitive person from the first beginning, but something those first week, especially after the surgery, I was more sensitive to noises and to people and to stimulation. So in the airport, that was actually quite hard. But I'm really, really grateful that I could go home with Jonas, because he had to go back home and he had work to do in his business. So otherwise I would have been flying home after 2 weeks by myself. So I'm more grateful that we could go home together. But like in retrospect, I would say like, if you are gonna go abroad to do this, and if you can wait a little bit longer than a week to fly home, I would probably have preferred that. What to prepare before the surgery. So what I prepared was clothing, really, really comfortable clothing with buttons, so that I did not have to take anything to pull over my head, because you're, as I said in the beginning, you're not supposed to raise your arms up. So you can just slip into a gown or something with buttons on. I prepared that, and I prepared comfortable shoes, and there were really no medication that I could prepare before. I did ask them before, and they said, no, we will prescribe you all the medications afterwards. So Jonas took me he went with my prescription to the pharmacy the day after when he picked me up, because as I said, the first night I stayed in the hospital and they gave me all the medication. And for blooming, they did not tell me to use this specific kind of soap, a de-infectant kind of soap. They did not mention that at all. But in Sweden, this surgery clinic that I was supposed to have here, they said, well, you go and buy this specific soap and you wash yourself and your hair with this specific soap to disinfect yourself, to make your whole body super, super clean with no bacteria on before the surgery. So I did that in the evening, and I also did that in the morning of the surgery. So that was nothing this clinic told me to do, but I knew this from Sweden, and I just wanted to be extra safe. So those were the things that I prepared before. Oh yeah, this is a question more about the moral side of this. How did you overcome the fear of being a role model for doing this? This was something that was really, really hard for me for years leading up to actually deciding to do my surgery. I thought, if I do a change to my physical body, does it mean that I am a bad role model? And I had just one woman ask me this. She said, I am a mom, and I always want to teach my children that, to empower them, that they are good enough as they are. So I said to her, I will definitely bring this question up when I do the Q&A, because I think it's so important that we bring this up. What does it really mean to be enough? And if you have kids or you want to be a role model, or for me, I don't have kids, but I want to be a role model for all my clients, because a lot of my work is about teaching people that you are enough. But then we have to go back to the understanding, what does it actually mean to be enough? Because I was totally fine with changing my mental capabilities. That was I perfectly fine with and develop and everything. So I'm not really sure why changing my physical body wouldn't be an option or being a bad role model. Now I know that being a beautiful, amazing role model is to actually embrace all parts of us. So if we have a part of us that truly want to change, if we have a part of us that has a massive desire, that is a part of acknowledging who we truly are. So I think from everything that I have analyzed and come to my own understanding now is if we are trying to tell ourselves, I am enough just the way I am, I don't have to change, we are actually suppressing our own truth. Because if you know in your knowing that this is an important step for my journey here on planet Earth, really listen to that, because it's trying to tell you something. Otherwise, we're just suppressing. So I think being a good role model is to actually go after what you desire, because otherwise you're showing the other people around you that you want to be a good role model for, that, oh, you don't have to listen to your own dreams, you don't have to listen to yourself or what is important. And that's the worst role model that we can ever be. Like, we really want to, of course we don't want to encourage our babies to go and do a surgery, but sometimes a surgery is what it takes, and other times it takes to go to a psychotherapist, and other times it takes to go to a hypnotherapist like myself. It's different. We are here on planet Earth on different journeys, and whatever will lead us to our own happiness, we need to take action on that if we feel that this is the right thing for me to do. So I would highly encourage us all to really look at our own desires and stop suppressing what we believe that we can't do or shouldn't do. Because no, you should truly listen to yourself and really decide to make your own happy yourself. You really should dedicate yourself to make yourself happy. That's the best role model that, in my opinion, that you could ever be to anybody. So I hope that was helpful, because I know that this is a big one and it was a massive fear for me, and I know for this other woman. Shout out to you, you know who you are. I know for you as well that this is something that you, because you're also, as me, a very spiritual person, and you want to look from all different aspects of this. And I think that is super healthy to really analyze and to really go through, what does this step really mean for me, and what example am I setting for other people around me. So I'm really proud of you for really digging into that, and I hope that this answer was helpful. Moving on to the next question. How was it to sleep in the nights after? As I said, going back and up and down, laying on my back, that was the hardest part. And also when I was laying on my back, when Jonas had helped me to come down, I could not come up by myself. So if I woke up in the middle of the night and I needed to go to the bathroom, I had to wake Jonas up and ask him to be my elevator, to really help me to sit up again. So that wasn't a very nice process. In retrospect, what I would probably have done instead is to just put up a few pillows behind you so that you can kind of sit up and sleep. I think that will be much easier. And I also did sweat a lot during the night. I had not heard anybody talk about this, so I was a little bit afraid when this happened. I woke up and I was literally in a pile of sweat in my bed, and I actually texted my surgeon and I asked if this is normal, and he said yes, this is a normal part of the healing process. It's really your body doing its thing. So that was a relief. I just wanted to mention that if any of you are gonna go through that same sweating thing, at least you know that my surgeon said that this is a part of the process. Could you be home alone afterwards? I probably could have, but I am super grateful that Jonas were there with me for that first week, and we could go out and do things together with the car and stuff like that. He was such a big, massive support. So I would highly recommend, if you can have somebody at least the first days to be there for you, to help you with cooking food and looking after you and help you to get rest and stuff like that. Because even though the pain was only 4 out of 10, but it was quite uncomfortable to moving around and stuff like that. So I would really recommend you have somebody there with you. You did an areola surgery too. Yes, I did. Was it painful, and are you happy you did that? Yes, I'm super happy that I did it, because I was never happy with my areolas. As I said in the beginning, they were like super big and they were super puffy, and my surgeon explained to me, Dr. Pod, that if I would not do the areola surgery, then my nip or my areolas, they would just expand even more and look even more massive. So he said this was an important part of the process of actually doing this. So I trusted that, and I'm super happy I did. That was quite painful though. Not afterwards. As long as I had the tape around the scars, that was perfectly fine. But then I was supposed to take them off after about 2 weeks, and everything that touched the scar, it was really painful. So I was actually sitting here working one day without any clothes on, because it was just so painful. But that was like just a surface level pain. So it wasn't inside the whole breast area, but it was like as soon as something touched, that was like freaking painful. So yes, it was, that one was a bit painful actually. And also I remember every time after that as well, when I went out from walks, longer walks here at home, I would probably actually take a what is it called, like a regular painkiller before I went out to go for a walk, because that would kind of a little bit numb the pain around the areola area. But I'm so glad I did the areola surgery, because my areolas, they look absolutely amazing. So I'm super happy. So they are kind of small now, and they just look perfect, like perfect. Moving on. What are the tips before taking this step to do the surgery? And I would definitely recommend, what I did was a lot of inner work. I went through all the questions like, why do I want to do this? What do I think will happen after I do this? How do I think that my life will change? And is it that I don't like my body because I believe that it doesn't look like everybody else's body? What is going on? So I really took my time to work on my own alignment. And in everything that we are going to do, I think it's so important that we work on our own inner alignment before just taking action, because this is a surgery. So I think that this is a quite big thing to do. So for me, I would definitely recommend working on your inner alignment first before you are taking the step, so that you fully know, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the right reasons, or is it because I believe? I remember one client, she texted me, this was about her fertility, and she also wanted to meet a perfect partner, and she had been having this belief that I'm too fat, and if I just lose weight, I will become lovable. And then she lost weight, and she still wasn't lovable in her own opinion, and she texted me about that and asked if I could help her. And I had to explain, and this is so important, that your lovability is not within your own boobs. Your lovability is not in your own, if you're fat or skinny, it doesn't matter. Your lovability is an inner work. But liking the physical shape of your body, that's something else, that you really enjoy and like your own body. Those are two totally different things. But it's just important that we start to understand that you are not going to be more lovable because you do a boob job. You are going to be more lovable because you start to see your own value. So that's an inner work. So really do the inner work first, and then make sure to put the physical in place as well. And then you have such a perfect, amazing combination. That's my advice, my opinion. What is the cost of this surgery? I will put the cost of this surgery here somewhere on the screen, because I don't remember exactly, but it was quite a lot. So this was definitely not a cheap one, and it was more, so everything was put in euros. So I will put the euro numbers on the screen, and also what that translates to in US dollars. And because I did the areola surgery as well, that was 2,000 euros extra, I remember. And then I had the travel there, the Airbnb, renting the car, and all this stuff. So it became quite a lot of money in the end, but I'm super happy. I knew, as I said in the beginning, when I'm gonna do this, if I'm gonna do this, I wanna make sure to have the best, because the breast for me had been such an issue my whole life, and now I just wanted to get rid of that issue and start to love my boobs. So I had to make sure to fix the financial stuff so that I could actually do that. Now we are soon done with the questions. There were so many questions. What kind of pain medication did you take? So there were only, the day after the surgery, I took one of those narcosis tablets that are stronger, but then I threw up straight afterwards. It made me really, really sick. And then one other time when we were at the Airbnb, I took one of those stronger pain medications as well. So there were only 2 times in total when I took the stronger ones. But otherwise, except from that, it was just the normal regular painkillers that you can actually buy in a normal drugstore, in a normal like grocery shop. How long did you have to wear the surgery bra? I think normally they say wear it for 6 weeks, but after 4 or 5 weeks, I texted my surgeon and I said it's super painful around my areolas. The pain just got worse and worse around the areolas, and I said like if I have the surgery bra on, it's just super painful. And he said in my case, because my surgery was a bit different because I had a tuberous breast, and actually we wanted gravity to pull my implants a little bit down. He said just remove the bra, you don't need it, like just go without a bra, just wear whatever you feel most comfortable in. So I think I was only wearing my bra for like 4 weeks or so. Can you sleep on your stomach? Yes, I can sleep on my stomach. I don't like to sleep on my stomach, but I have been testing to just lay down on my stomach and that works perfectly fine. And now we go into the last question 29. How are you feeling now? I feel absolutely amazing. I'm so happy I did this. I'm like, I can't understand that it's actually been 6 months of just absolutely loving my boobs. And yes, as I said, if I would like squeeze them, or if Jonas would kind of squeeze them, and especially around the areola part, that is still a bit painful, but totally fine. No issues with that. And I'm just super happy and excited. So with that said, I truly hope that this very long video made a lot of sense to you, and that you got some really helpful advice. If you have more questions coming up regarding your own surgery or what surgeon to choose from my experience, just let me know in the comments below, and I will be super happy to either text you or back on social media, or just answer them here in a future video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to learn also how to align with your ideal extraordinary life that you want to live. Because you are worthy of living a life that you absolutely love, with your physical body and your mental health, and just overall creating that ideal lifestyle that you are dreaming about. I'm sending you so much love. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Bye.